Sugar Sean O'Malley makes his return at UFC 260 as a heavy favorite, negative 320 on some books, against Thomas Almeida, once himself a very hot prospect in the bantamweight division, has now lost 3 in a row. The question is, gentlemen, should O'Malley be this heavily favored going into the fight on Saturday? Matt, I'm going to start with you. O'Malley hype train is warranted here, or are the odds a little bit buying into the hype too much?
They're still buying into the hype a little bit too much, I think. Because Marlon Vera made that look easy. You know, he really was like, I'm going to show everyone that this guy is not on the level where everyone is putting him. You know, before the Vera fight, I could see the hype. That knockout of Wineland was super sweet. It was just a beautiful highlight reel moment that was one of the best knockouts of the year. But then you fight a guy like Vera, who's just really good, really aggressive, really confident in his abilities, who's going to bring a fight at you. And you see the results. And Thomas Almeida has shown that he can do that. I know he's on a skid right now, but he's shown in the past that he can be that type of guy. If that guy shows up, then, I mean, obviously the underdog bettors are going to cash out. But I think this line is still a little bit too wide because, you know, O'Malley is as good as he is. There's still question marks for me. So minus 300, minus 320, wherever you're getting that line at, right around now, a little bit high for my liking. I'm curious to see what you guys think.
Solid points. Drake, what do you think?
Man, I'm very tempted to say that this is just about perfect. I'm very tempted, but I don't know. It is hard to say that because I feel like at this point we have seen the blueprint on how to beat Sean O'Malley. It's essentially leg kicks, calf kicks, attack his legs. We've seen 2 fights where that has been a critical hole in his game. Clearly the last fight against Chito Vera, then his win against Andre Sukumtoth, where Andre's fight IQ was non-existent as the fight went on. And, you know, he kind of let him get away with one there. That should have 100,000,000% been a win for Sukumtoth. So we have seen what O'Malley's kryptonite is to this point. And surely I would imagine he's smart enough to, figure this out and, work on defending that possibility. And somebody like Thomas Almeida hasn't been someone who's gone heavily with the leg kicks, but I'm sure that he will recognize that is a good point of attack against somebody like Sean O'Malley here. But it's just, you look at Thomas Almeida and the guy simply has not been the same whatsoever since that Cody Garbrandt loss. And that's what makes me feel so confident in seeing O'Malley pull this off and end up touching, Almeida on the chin, which has continually faded since Garbrandt was the first to knock him out. And Almeida's last win was in 2016, which is really crazy to think about. Of course, just came back after a 2-year layoff last year against Jonathan Martinez, who Martinez is very good himself, and was able to, outpoint him there en route to a unanimous decision. Didn't have too much trouble, but of course, Almeida getting back in there, so kind of getting the feet wet again after the layoff could have played a part. So less time between fights this time around. It's just that, I don't know. I believe O'Malley will be smart enough, as I said, to have worked on defending leg kicks, calf kicks, all that, and avoid them enough to end up knocking Almeida out in the meantime while he's potentially looking for those. It's just hard for me to trust Almeida at this point after, a bit of a fall from grace, because he used to be a little bit of the O'Malley, a rushed superstar of sorts, or a superstar in the making who got rushed and knocked off the hype train tracks. And O'Malley, although that is the case with him as well, not in the same fashion as Almeida was knocked off. We haven't seen O'Malley get clean knocked out. Of course, Vera did put it on him with those elbows on the ground and whatnot, but not the same. So I think that O'Malley still is very capable of, winning against guys like Thomas Almeida in their current position. Enough so to where these odds are justifiable situationally with both of these guys right now. But this will be very telling, this fight, as to how much we should, how much, O'Malley has learned and where Almeida's at, all that kind of thing. So I'm not super duper mad at the line here.
Okay. Also solid points on that. For me, when I look at the odds, I'm looking at a couple of things. One, O'Malley has lost, or really lost once, due to a leg injury caused that I feel that Vera did cause. I'm not saying, oh, he lost to a leg injury and it was all fluke. No, I think Vera was the reason he lost that fight. But he should have lost, as you mentioned, Drake, to Andre Sukumtov, except Andre Sukumtov just decided to take him down. So he's a little injury prone here. It's just kind of a fact of life. I think right now you could look at O'Malley and say, oh, you got to worry about him getting injured from one bad leg kick or one bad strike to the knee. I also look at the level of competition both guys has had recently. When you look at O'Malley's wins, he's looked very good, but he's looked very good against guys that, haven't exactly been on hot winning streaks or hot hands, right? Eddie Wineland was 1-4 in his last 5. Jose Quinones was 2 out of his last 5 as well. 2 wins, 3 losses. And I also believe that Sukumtov was 2 wins, 3 losses. So not exactly killers that he's running through. Almeida, on the other hand, you look at his losses, he's lost to Cody Garbrandt, to Jimmy Rivera, Rob Font, Jonathan Martinez. I'm still very high on, even though he did just lose last week against Davey Grant. But these are names that are real tough competition, actual stiff competition. So to me, I think at this point, when you're looking at that, I still favor O'Malley here because of his ability to, have that power punch and knock Almeida out, which I do agree, Drake, that Almeida's chin is a little bit deteriorated at this point. But that all being said, negative 320 is too much. I could see negative 180. I could see negative 200 if you want to go that far. That to me makes more sense. Negative 320 is I believe similar to what he had going into the Vera fight at one point, right? I mean,
that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was, come on. So I think if they're buying into the hype a little bit too much again here, I still favor O'Malley in this one, but by much closer odds. Let us know in the comments if you think the odds are a little too much, a little too less, if you think he should be higher than negative 320, or just right, like Drake seems to think. And let us know who you think is going to win in this match. You think Almeida is going to come back and take O'Malley, take some of that shine and make another run? Do you think O'Malley's going to get back up on the horse by knocking out the former hot prospect Almeida? Let us know in the comments how you feel about this. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, little bell notifications so you know when we're dropping videos. Anything else to wrap up this one, boys?
I think it's going to be one of these opportunities to say, to your point, you look at the losses of Thomas Almeida, high level guys, potential future champions, some of them, former champion, Cody Garbrandt. Is Sean O'Malley in that level? I think we're going to get that answer, obviously, by the performance, because, like you said, Almeida, he's a well-rounded guy, a little bit chinny, a little bit crazy at times, although he's kind of gone better with that, but he's still not getting the wins. But again, like you said, look at the competition. So is Sean O'Malley really that guy? That's going to be the answer. But for those that are looking to throw money on this fight, I would take a flyer on Almeida, man. The odds just make more sense to do it. There's better fights to bet on this card. Plug the other video that we have done on that topic, and check that out, by the way. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that.
Drake, anything from you? You thought it was super sweet. You throwing a fire? You throwing a fire on Almeida?
I am not, but why? I'm not going to tell you not to. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like, of course, one of the funnier talking points coming out of Vera versus O'Malley was how Sean has not treated it as a real loss. He's still saying he's undefeated, that kind of thing. But I have heard him, yeah, it's hilarious. It is very ridiculous, not really good sportsmanship. And I think he's serious about that. But at the same time, I have seen him talk about this matchup in particular. And it seems to me that he's actually taking Almeida fairly seriously. And Kind of recognizing the spot that, yeah, he has, the steam has simmered down. He's lost some of it, no matter what, even if he still thinks he's undefeated, yada, yada. So that's something I think important to see in this position where he's not kind of being super arrogant or cocky towards Almeida. And that's because of the fact that Almeida, I haven't seen him talking any shit or anything like that. So I think that helps further his case in terms of being well prepared for this matchup and to come in and rebound now. So I like what I'm hearing from him in terms of this matchup specifically.
Well, there you have it. Either way, this Saturday, we will find out whether the Sugar Show continues on or whether it falls off and another hype train derailed.